All right, I will assume I can be heard. A warm, warm welcome to all of the dear supporters of our university, our precious donors. This is an incredible time right now. It is an extremely busy time. We have the annual board meeting tomorrow. I have a meeting right now outside with our Black Culture Club, which I will be addressing as soon as I turn the mic over to someone more eloquent here. And of course, graduation on Saturday. The annual fund drive is in progress. Furloughs are in progress. COVID is in progress. It's just been absolutely extraordinary. Some have said this is the best of times, worst of times, and it truly, in a sense, has been both. The challenges have been really severe. Somebody might be connected who's not muted. If you are connected and you're not muted, maybe you could mute. All right, anyway, it's been challenging. It's been exciting, though. There has been this incredible rallying of every single member of our staff and faculty to do extraordinary things. Our faculty have been teaching. As you know, the university has been open. We had no choice but to stay open. Our campus is the legal residence for most of our students. They are independent. They don't have another home to go to. Our overseas students have nowhere else to go. So all we could do was keep going and go as safely as we possibly could. Then our faculty all had to learn to adapt and teach via the computer, delivering the lessons into the students' dorm rooms. There are things like these everywhere. Really, I must say, everybody's been very, very good about it. Amazingly, for a relatively safe town with probably 50 COVID cases thus far, we've had no residents of our campus, no students, no faculty, no staff who have contracted. As far as we can tell, there's been no symptoms, no positive tests. And that's an achievement. It's a very important achievement. I can't guarantee I can say that a month from now, but it's been a few months so far and we have succeeded. We think we know what we're doing. And hopefully before too long, we'll see an abatement of the virus. We certainly can't promise that, but it would make life a lot easier if that began to happen. So all of that has been going on and everybody's been working double hard. And I forgot to mention, in the midst of all this other turmoil, we had our 10-year accreditation visit, which required a monumental preparation of stacks and stacks of meticulously crafted documents. I will be introducing very shortly our great provost, Scott Harriet, who was the champion, you could say, and the coxswain on this crew, every one of which rode to save their lives, and I think every one of which scaled the proverbial Olympic Mount Olympus in putting together these documents. But as Scott will say, and will recount some of the stories of their visit, it was an utterly remarkable success, a great milestone in the history of the university to receive a report that was so absolutely glowing. So that's very fulfilling. That is behind us. Essentially, there's a token in-person visit when COVID lifts a little bit, we hope, in September. There, they're going to have to kick the tires and be sure we really exist and that we're not a cyber mirage, that we really are here and we have students and we have dormitories and all of that. But that'll be pretty easy to pass. And then our accreditation for the next 10 years will be a final. And that's, again, a tremendous achievement. And I'm very happy with that. Everybody should be commended for their tremendous work and rallying on that. I think first and foremost, what is getting us through this, and certainly our special guests of this evening, are our incredibly precious donors, our deeply dedicated lifelong donors, other newer donors, other alumni donors, of which we have some real powerhouses emerging. This was our best fundraising year in history, and by a substantial margin. The annual fund is still in progress. We just passed the $2 million milestone. We have another $250,000 to go. You might think that is not possible to achieve because graduation is the day after tomorrow, but graduation is not our deadline. We need to really see the commitments by the end of June. That's the end of our fiscal year. So we have a little time. I wanted to mention that we haven't quite achieved the goal, but in addition to the annual fund, which is a pretty heavy lift every year for all of us as it is for all of you, and so many of us on the campus contribute to it as well. But it's a heavy lift for sure. But this year, in addition to that, $2.25 million, we've raised through the generosity, entirely through the generosity of our donors, another $2.25 million in the form of an endowment reserve fund. And that endowment reserve fund was intended to build our endowment, which is an ongoing process and will take years. But it was also designed to be a reserve fund in an emergency. Well, no sooner had that target been achieved when the emergency arrived. And the emergency is COVID, which has taken, a severe bite out of the university's operating finances. So this has been, tremendously fortuitous and a just unimaginable gift from our donors to have stepped up and gone this basically a double marathon this year with both of those campaigns. Why did COVID affect us financially? Remember, most colleges in Iowa, certainly the state universities, weren't functioning at all. They had a complete cessation of revenues. We have been, you could say, operating, and we have been, you could say, generating, payables, but we really don't receive any tuition money until next fall, because students pay their tuition at the beginning of the fall and again at the beginning of the spring semester. And this is all past the spring semester, and it's not until August, September that we would expect to see $1 more. So those revenues are not terribly much disrupted because we are still teaching, and we do hope our students to come back in the fall, and it looks like we're having a huge crop in the fall. So that's fine. What's not fine, if you're familiar with the university, and all of you are to some degree, our largest economic driver, our most successful program financially is our computer science professionals program with, over 1,000 students, I think, more or less, including the ones on campus, or close to 1,000, and those who've left campus but are continuing to study from their jobs online, continuing their education until they receive their master's degree. Those graduates, and they're graduating all the time, they're finishing up their program throughout the year, and typically they're getting jobs throughout the year. And these computer science students, as you may know, they don't pay their tuition until they get a job. And 98.5% of them do get jobs at Fortune 100 companies after a month or two or three of their graduation. It's an incredibly successful program for the students, most from developing countries all over the world, and incredibly successful for the university. However, if companies like Google and Microsoft and Amazon and so forth, who hire our technical graduates, aren't hiring, which has largely been the case, at least for now, during the peak of the epidemic, then they're not getting their jobs and their tuition payments are being postponed. And so there's a big gap in the flow of cash, and companies, universities do operate on cash flow. We have human beings to pay, we have bills to pay, and so that has really, you could say, pulled the wind out of our financial sails. But because of our donors, because of some help from the government, we've received all the aid that we qualify for already. That was a big help. I mentioned our donors, of course, first and foremost, but our faculty and our staff as well, close to 300 of them right now, are on furlough or partial furlough, and making a sacrifice that way. And they have, in a sense, you could say, contributed $400,000 to the university in the last month and a half, some of which, because of government support and unemployment insurance and federal enhancement of unemployment insurance, some have done fine, most have done all right. But still, they've had to take a leave from their work and facing uncertain consequences in order to help the university. So my point is, everyone has chipped in. I think the results have been phenomenal. I want to show you a little bit about those results for just a minute or two, but before I turn the page, I just have to, again, look to you and thank you for your support year after year after year. And particularly now, when I would have thought you would have been exhausted from giving, in this particular year, you knew, you felt, you understood the critical challenges that face our university and every university, certainly every university without a huge endowment. And you've really stepped up, and it has made an enormous difference. We will make it to the spring, and we will find more revenues then. But that would have been really dicey without your support. And Maharshi's incredible legacy of education to develop consciousness, consciousness-based education, education for enlightenment, could have been threatened. So thank you for that. So what have we achieved? We were supposed to end this year with a small cash profit of just under $700,000. Not bad for the university, because sometimes it's not profitable. And then all of a sudden in May and June and April, we lost $2.5 million in Compro revenues. Compro hires stopped. We missed an entire entering class of 100+ students scheduled to arrive here in April. So all that was lost, and a lot of other expenses to do with COVID and changing the dining room, having servers, changing everything on campus, going to distance education in people's dorm rooms. So that was expensive, and instead of completely losing our shirts, we closed the year at not $2.5 million in the red, which would be difficult to survive, but only less than $100,000 in the red. Again, donor support, government support, faculty and staff volunteerism and support, taking advantage of everybody basically springing to work. I think that's all I'll say about that, except for, again, I want to emphasize that in addition to the annual fund, which we can achieve if we all just put our minds to it, we're not that far. There's some people I know who are intending to give and haven't quite gotten around to doing so yet. In addition to that, again, we had this incredible $2.25 million endowment reserve fund, which is an enormous safety valve for us. And again, thank you for that. Now, looking towards the fall, what do we have to basically boost the university again into a very strong position? I don't know if you can see this tiny graph from your seats, but this is our undergraduate applications at this point compared to previous years. And I don't know if you can see that, but we were on a not so positive trend for quite a few years. And 2 or 3 years ago, that trend started to change, and those numbers have increased. And if you look at this year on the far, right side of your picture? Yes, I hope. You'll see that we're really on a phenomenal trend of growth at the university. And that's undergraduates. Undergraduates had been the slowest to turn around. We've had other progress, like, for example, other progress is this. This will be harder to see because of the skinny line, but this shows the enrollment. These aren't applications. This is actual enrollment in our online programs, distance education programs. And in the last 3 years, basically, they have jumped from 123 or even 75 up to 555 anticipated this fall. And that's fabulous. That's a powerhouse. And I should mention, I'll show you one more chart about this. Focusing in specifically on the one such program that has grown the fastest and is the biggest, and there are others, is the Maharshi Ayurveda and Integrative Medicine Master of Science degree. And that has gone up from really nothing a few years ago to 247 this fall. And like many of these new students, they're here for one main reason. These students aren't coming for computer science, which is wonderful when people do come for computer science, but these students are coming for Maharshi's knowledge. They're coming from Maharshi Ayurveda and Integrative Medicine. Many others are coming from Maharshi Vedic Science, master's degrees and so forth. So the students are not just rising in quantity, some respects they're rising in quality. We've always had gems for students, but in this case, the students are entering the university with more of a predisposition to go deeply into Maharshi's knowledge, unique knowledge, which is the university's really core mission. So it's a joy to be here today. It's a joy to teach here today. Again, our donors have helped make all of this possible. I just wanted to show you a picture, for example, and you can't see this well. It's really a terrible picture. But if you go visit our high rises, so to speak, our dormitories for our hundreds and hundreds of Compro students, this set of 5 buildings has 300 rooms, and they were not so nice. And that's putting it mildly. That's about the not quite even truthful and very generous thing we could have said about them a few years ago. But they're really nice today. And this has been principally the result of our wonderful board chair, Jeffrey Abramson. He and Rona put together a fund which is doing many great things, but it is just uplifting the campus, and for years has been completely transforming the campus. These dorms are a joy now to our students who are coming from all over the world. Making these programs possible is another very generous trustee who created the Guest and Conference Center, which holds 78 visiting students who are coming here for their, this monitor is not working, maybe that doesn't matter, coming here for their programs, distance education, but they come here for their clinicals, they come here for their on-campus components of their programs, made possible again by a generous gift. And this is the most exciting, I think, thing going on campus today. You'll have to really zoom in to see this. It is the Wege Center for the Arts. We have been doing a lot of work on the interior and the back and the sides of this building, but the grand, really grand finishing march to the finish line is just beginning. And here we'll see a complete uplift and facelift of the entire building now. And it's unbelievably exciting. It'll be the biggest transformation of our campus since this building, since the Argiro Student Center opened quite a few years ago. And as a matter of fact, later today, you will be able to see one of the other amazing impacts of this family, our great trustees and family, the Weges, Chris and Laura Wege, who, with the blessings of their family, have been enormous supporters of the university, absolutely transformational. And we'll have Wege Awards this evening, recognizing outstanding faculty and outstanding faculty achievements, in addition to which research grants and conference travel and publication and so many things that are vitally important to a university and its educational progress and its research and its impact on the world is also supported by the Wege grants each year, and we're incredibly grateful for them. I would hold them up as model donors of enlightenment and generosity. I think at this point, so we don't go too long, and we have a really rich evening this evening. I would like to turn this over first to our provost, who will share with us the results of this unbelievable experience of the accreditation visit. It's not a long presentation, but it's really worth hearing, and then we'll see what's next. Scott Harriet, Provost of the University.
Thank you very much, President Hagelin. It is my great delight to share news with our supporters of the university about the results pending from our 40 years now as an accredited university, Maharshi International University. Every 10 years, we undergo a comprehensive review of the university by our accrediting body. And our visit was in May of this year. A team of 5 experts, experienced academic administrators from other universities were assembled by the Higher Learning Commission and sent, ordinarily they would be sent to the university. They had a virtual visit with us. And I'm going to tell you about the many extraordinary things that they said about the university in their evaluation of us. Now, Brad, you said I could have an hour. You said not more than 1 hour to talk about all of the great things that the accreditation team said. 10 minutes? Brad, come on, there's no way I can do 10 minutes justice to what this visiting team said. What was remarkable about this visit was that we have never had a team that really understood and valued and expressed in their team report the value of transcendental meditation and consciousness-based education. This team got it, and they were extremely enthusiastic about what they found. They read a 100-page report that we had created covering 21 different criteria for accreditation. And MIU had to get a pass on every single one of those criteria. As it came through, not only did we get a pass, we got the highest level of pass on each of those 21 criteria. A completely clean report from the Higher Learning Commission. And as a result of that, no need for follow-up. I've been an evaluator for the Higher Learning Commission for the past 22 years. For 8 years now, I've been a team chair. I go out and accredit other universities. And almost always there's some type of monitoring report or progress report you have to send in a year or two later, or they're going to send another team of people to focus a visit on some area of concern that an institution has. None of that, completely clean. In fact, we had a hint of that on the day of the visit, just as the team was about to leave, and they were meeting with President Hagelin and me and a couple others. And the team chair said, he expressed his thanks for being at the visit. Now, the teams are not supposed to say what their evaluation of the institution is, because there is a process that they go through with the Higher Learning Commission in Chicago, has to read their report and validate it. And that'll happen in about September, October of this year. But they did leave a few hints, like when two of the team members were asked what was their impression of the university. One said, well, I'd love to be a student here. And the second one said, me too. And I thought, we've never had a visiting team where they want to stay and be students. After the visit, I had a brief email exchange with our contact person in Chicago at the Higher Learning Commission. And he wrote to me, he said, by the way, you guys really nailed that virtual visit in May. Once our September visit is done, you should celebrate. Not many of my schools enter into the September visit in such great condition as MIU is. So, of course, I'm just over the moon about this. The result of this is we are, assuming the team report is validated by the Higher Learning Commission, we will have our accreditation extended for another 10 years. That's a real achievement in itself, because that actually puts us in a special cadre of schools called the Open Pathway Schools that only need to be evaluated once every 10 years. About 8 or 10 years ago, when the US government started to show some teeth and try to make higher education in America accountable, they put a lot of schools on a twice every 10 years schedule of comprehensive visits. But MIU was recognized as a mature institution and again validated in this. The team report is, as I said, still has to be validated by the central office in Chicago, but I can't help myself to share a few quotes from 55 pages that this team wrote about our institution. Just because they validated what consciousness-based education is. Here's something they say. MIU's faculty scholarship is impressive for a school of its size. Most, by no means all of that scholarship is focused on validating and applying the benefits of transcendental meditation in education, public health, and the quality of life through group practice. Never has a visiting team valued the group practice of transcendental meditation for societal quality of life. They valued the Board of Trustees, saying minutes from the past 3 academic years show the Board of Trustees adhering to the mission of the university while navigating the various trends in academia, student culture, and the general economy. They honored the Wege Foundation for their generous support of the university, and they cited our $26 million in grant research from the National Institutes of Health and Department of Defense over the years, saying, for a relatively small private school, the faculty collectively produce a significant body of scholarly work each year. These are remarkable statements. They say the influence of MIU's mission can be seen in its commitment to holistic student development, including the time and space set aside for transcendental meditation practice. The students' balanced daily schedule, the commitment to a healthy diet, and even the 1 course at a time block structure. So many great things that they said about the university. They talked about diversity at the university being an automatic feature. Faculty and students enjoy learning about different cultures, and there's a high level of positive interaction across campus. Student activity directors indicate they visibly witness integration and inclusion of cultures during campus events. They talked about examples given in their interviews with students and with faculty, where deans and faculty support and encourage one another, which results in an excitement on campus for teaching. Statements were made in meetings that faculty value teaching and learning and assessment, and collaboration among faculty colleagues occurs to make the best experience for students. There's a mutually supportive, non-competitive atmosphere reported at MIU, where faculty are celebrated for their achievements, which promotes a sense of harmony. And tonight, of course, is the night for celebrating the achievements of the faculty as further validation of that. The team was extremely impressed with the management of the institution. They said the fiscal position of the university is healthy, as demonstrated by its strong financial index from the past decade, as well as positive net cash provided by operating activities. And they quoted, in their meetings with administrators, several people mentioned MIU's ability to adapt to its fiscal reality and to use resources well to deliver its programs. Adapting to our reality is just what President Hagelin was telling you about. And because this visit occurred in May, the team was hearing us talk about our adaptations to the COVID situation. The team said MIU engages in systematic and integrated planning. This is demonstrated in the annual budgeting process, and that the university engages in long-term planning through its strategic planning process and multi-year infrastructure investments. And they just go on with, many laudatory statements like this, which obviously we don't have time to talk about. It's extraordinary. This is something which our trustees should be extremely proud of. Our donors, the supporters of the university, should be overwhelmingly proud of this university for the accomplishments that we've had. And all I can say is the future is just going to be a lot brighter. President Hagelin, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share the achievements and the great validation of this university, Maharshi's Institution of Consciousness-Based Education. Brad, I'll turn the mic over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Harriet. It's incredibly inspiring to hear that. It's unprecedented. And I think every one of our precious donors out there, precious supporters, feel so proud that their funds, that their gifts to this university are very well placed. And I'm sure they have great confidence that this is the finest institution to invest in, and they have been so very, very generous in all their support all these years. And we're just here to thank you a million times over for that. Part of the inspiration, as Dr. Harriet mentioned, was our students. The team met with many of our student government, our academic students in different academic departments, and they were very, very impressed with the quality of these young people, these young minds, and the quality of their life. And we have two of them here tonight, just for a moment to express their appreciation to you for the education that they've received here. And the two fine young women, Nina Ziv, who is graduating on Saturday. Nina will be our valedictorian. And 4 years ago, for those who were gathered at the home of Fred and Shelley Gratzen for one of our donor appreciation banquets, will remember that perhaps that Nina was a young freshman at the time, just arrived, and we asked her to speak to you at that point. And she melted all of our hearts. And I'll never forget one of our precious supporters, Sheila Ross. She came up to me afterwards and almost in tears, and she says, "You take good care of her." So I'm proud to say, Sheila, that I think we have, and we're very, very proud of her. Nina is from Israel, and you'll be hearing a more formal introduction of her on Saturday when she presents her valedictorian speech to the graduation assembly. Our second student is Ashma Gautam. Ashma is from Nepal, from Kathmandu, Nepal, and she's an MBA student here. She's been here about 1.5 years, and we have the great pleasure of working with Ashma in our development department. She's the assistant to the director of development, and it's incredibly brilliant and organized and brings such a great asset to our department. We depend on her very much, and I think she'll soon be running the whole show. So it's a pleasure to have these two fine young women just say a few words to you tonight in appreciation.
Hello, good evening. I actually didn't prepare anything. I didn't write anything. So I'll just say thank you for your support and for this university. I had a blast in the past 4 years being here, meeting many people from all over the world, like literally all over the world, and making really good lifelong friends, and studying, of course, a lot of important things. My major is media and sustainability, and I made a documentary film in the past year, which you can see if you're interested in. And I just got like really good support from the teachers and really great knowledge from them and their experience. And I'm really grateful for that. That's pretty much it. You want me to say anything else?
Good evening, everybody present here in this hall and everybody present in the webinar. When I want to be grateful and want to thank the university, I really don't know where to start because in a way the university has changed my life. I came from a very small country and probably a very small city of that country. And from helping me with the visa to directing me to the university and with everything over a period of time, I think I have grown as a person. And thank you, Brad, that you see me here in the future. And personally, I've been also working with the Department of Development. I've been interning them. I have a very good guidance from my director, vice president, president, and I'm learning everything that I'm learning is mostly not just what is in the books, but also a lot of soft skills, like how to communicate. For a person to come from completely different side of the world and be able to speak and communicate and be a part of a family, I would firstly be very, very grateful for that, because for the acceptance, for the love that I have received here and an opportunity to grow as a woman. in this diverse culture with a lot of problems that we are facing every day. Besides that, I would also like to thank the university and the donors for making sure the international students were able to be here safe during the quarantine period, because that was a very important period for the international students. In a way, we were facing a challenge that nobody was prepared for. We did not have flights to go back home, and we also did not have a home, as President Heglin mentioned before, that we are an alien here. So thank you for having us, and not just having us as students, but giving us healthy food as per our requirement, making sure we don't run to McDonald's and Burger King every now and then, understanding what the students need. And in a way that has developed a sense of belonging for the students here, a home away from home. And I think there is a strength in unity. There's strength in unity and there's power in diversity, and I think this university is the perfect example of that. And I do look forward. I have spoken to many donors and alumni as a part of my job, and whenever I speak to them, I have many feedbacks, and I have had conversations with them for hours and hours about the university and how they have been there, because most of them are not even around here, and how they reminisce the times when Maharishi was here and his teachings were all over the university, and I wish I could also be a part of it. And I look forward to more interactions with our donor, and thank you for all your help, and thank you for giving us home away from home. Thank you, university, and all our donors, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
We love our students. About 4 years ago, a little less than 4 years ago, a very beloved staff member, very beloved administrator at the university by the name of Joe Tarver suddenly passed away. We lost a gem, and you can see him pictured here. Joe came here in 1989, and he thrived as both a student and as a volunteer staff member. When Joe passed, shortly after, we received a phone call from Joe's brother, Ben. And I believe Ben is connected with us tonight. Hello, Ben. I've been talking to you on the phone often. And Ben wanted to leave a very generous legacy bequest to the university. And he asked that we honor Joe in some small way as a result. So we thought of the best way to do that, and we came up with this idea of to each year present the Joe Tarver Volunteer Service Staff Award. This will be the third year we've presented this award, and it will be an award will be accompanied by a $1,000 gift to one of our outstanding staff members. The award will be accompanied, and it will thereby give distinction to each year's ideal administrator who most exemplifies the integrity, truthfulness, calmness, dependability, kindness, and commitment to personal excellence that Joe lived so naturally and abundantly. And I just wanted to share with you some words from one of Joe's co-workers for many, many years in the accounting department. This was Mike Shea, who still works there. Mike says, Joe stood out as an exceptional personality. He was a force of harmony that never turned sour. He was thoughtful, considerate, accessible, and supportive. I cannot remember any time when Joe was irritable or rough with anyone. He possessed tremendous patience and compassion. In his work, he was diligent, fastidious. Every detail of every job was done correctly. He was someone any office anywhere would have relied upon for extensive responsibilities. He had an inquiring mind, was logical, reasonable, sensible, sound thinking. People sought him out for his good advice, both personal and office related. He was well educated with a BA degree in math from MIU and another from Rutgers University, and as well as an MBA from MIU. Joe was articulate, even eloquent, and spoke with refined, fluent, well-chosen words. His heart and mind were highly developed. Joe Tarver Award sets a high bar for its recipients. So this is the third year we'll be honoring Joe this way. Our previous two recipients were Dan Wazaleski and Randy Bales. I think they both met that high bar. And I just wanted to conclude before we introduce our next recipient of the Joe Tarver Award from some words from Ben himself. He sent this to me last year. He said, as someone who grew up and was mentored by Joe, I wish I could have conveyed how much meditation, Maharishi International University, Fairfield, Iowa, and the inhabitants of both meant to Joe. It's the reason he devoted over 30 years of his life there and planned to remain there forever. As a personal confession, I never fully appreciated Joe's fondness for MIU and Fairfield, Iowa, considering the extreme weather you all have to go through, until I arrived there to collect his personal effects. That's when I realized that MIU and the residents were the best place with the best people on earth. So it's with a great honor to ask the legendary, the one and only Professor of Law and Government, the mother of MIU, and someone beloved by all, Professor Victoria Alexander Harriet, to present our award recipient.
Thank you so much, Brad. I'm delighted tonight to award the Joe Tarver Volunteer Service Award to our dear Nancy Watkins. All right, I said I would try to get through this without crying, and I think I can do it. This award goes to the individual who most exemplifies the integrity, truthfulness, calmness, dependability, kindness, and commitment to personal excellence that Joe Tarver lived so naturally and abundantly during his 25 years on the Ideal Administrative Program. In every activity, there are those individuals who lead by example. Nancy's daily achievements and unwavering dedication to fulfilling all of Marshy's goals were an inspiration to every one of us at Marshy International University. She embodied the highest values of service, harmony, and devotion, and reflected in her every action the infinite organizing power of nature, which silently guides all of life in waves of progress. It is therefore with great love and appreciation that we honor Nancy as this year's recipient of the Joe Tarver Volunteer Service Award. Nancy came to MIU in 1988 and worked in the grants office before becoming the International Student Advisor, a position she held for almost 25 years. In that capacity, she actively participated in the creation of the Computer Professionals Program and helped bring thousands of students to MIU. To generations of international students, she was their guardian angel. She not only helped with the complexities of their visas, but she was also there as an advisor for every aspect of their lives. She was a mother to each and every one of them. The walls of her office were covered with pictures of her students and the important events in their lives. She was always included in wedding invitations and birth announcements. In fact, in many cases, she was the officiant at the wedding. Her home and office are filled with gifts of appreciation from grateful students, staff, friends, and everyone she blessed with her time and attention. She was a devoted governor of the Age of Enlightenment. She loved her program in the Dome and appreciated all of Marshy's precious gifts. She took advantage of every new package of knowledge as it was unfolded and integrated them into her life. She gave generously to those who needed her skills or support. She was a friend to all. The world was truly her family. We will remember her always with love and appreciation. We are establishing tonight the Nancy Watkins International Student Scholarship Fund. The first contribution will be the money that comes with this award. We hope that all who valued her friendship and appreciated the goodness of her unbounded heart will contribute and bring even more international students to the university she held so dear. So I hope all of you remember Nancy in this way. I think there's nothing more she would have appreciated. So the next order of events tonight is the awarding of the Wege Award. The Wege Award is a cash prize of $1,000 given by the Wege Foundation and inspired by our dear alumna and member of our Board of Trustees, Dr. Laura Wege. She and her husband, Dr. Chris Wege, are members of the Board of Directors of the Wege Foundation, which has generously supported so many projects at MIU, countless projects, including the newly renovated Wege Center for the Arts. As an outstanding student, Laura was always very appreciative of her consciousness-based education and her faculty. And now as a board member, she showers blessings on us all. A grant given to the faculty supports research, scholarship, innovation in teaching, the development of new programs, and most importantly, the dissemination of the knowledge created here, knowledge that links every discipline with its source in consciousness. I wish that Laura and Chris could be with us this year as they were last, to hand out roses and certificates to each of the award recipients, and for us to fully appreciate them in person. But hopefully next year, that tradition will continue. So I'm going to start tonight giving awards to the faculty in different categories. And the first category is research and scholarship. Some of our recipients are here in the hall with us, and some are with us virtually. So we'll be going back and forth from people receiving them somewhere out there and the people in the hall. So our first recipient is Robert Schneider, who's not in the hall, so he'll be joining us from probably his home. So Robert Schneider is MD, FACC, and Dean of the College of Integrative Medicine, and Director of the Institute for Natural Medicine and Health. Over the course of 25 years at MIU, he's been recognized nationally and internationally by his peers and external funding agencies for the contributions to evidence-based integrative medicine and health. He has brought millions of dollars to the university in grants, and for that we are greatly appreciative. He has authored or co-authored more than 150 publications in peer-reviewed medical literature and mentored several generations of PhD students, postdoctoral fellows, and junior faculty. These mentees have gone on to senior positions at MIU and institutions around the country and the world. Dr. Schneider is an esteemed consciousness-based physician with distinctions in research, teaching, and clinical practice, and it is our joy to award him the Wege Award for Research and Scholarship tonight.
Thank you, Vicki, very much. It's a great honor and pleasure to receive this award. And over the past 35 years at MIU, I've worked very hard to develop the area of consciousness-based health and to bring that out to the whole world. And in those efforts, I've been joined by faculty and students and administrative staff who have been key members of our team. Our next award winner was with us for many years. Dr. Skip Alexander helped to found our center. Dr. Sandy Nitsch, Dr. Carolyn King, John Salerno, Linda Heaton have all been key members of our team where we work together, supported by the university administration, Dr. Hagelin, Dr. Harriet, and others. So it's very much a family effort, very much a team effort, and we'll continue for another 35 years and another few hundred publications, and even more than that, to change the world of healthcare. And our single mission is to help MIU and its founder create and bring the full age of enlightenment through the angle of health and through the angle of science. So thank you to all our trustees and our donors, and Jay Gurdev.
Thank you very much, Robert. Our next recipient is Maxwell Rainforth. Maxwell has been on faculty since 1985, having moved here from New Zealand for the Taste of Utopia Assembly. He recently was promoted to full professor, which he very well deserved. And in our interview with him, he said that when he came for the Taste of Utopia conference, he had the desire that there could be something he could do here so that he could stay, and it turned out that there was. He's been a statistician on over 40 published research studies, including research grants for over $25 million, received by Dr. Robert Schneider, Dr. Sandy Nidich, and their teams. He performed the statistical work with Dr. Skip Alexander on 2 of the meta-analyses on effects of TM, and with Dr. John Hagelin and Dr. David Orm Johnson on the effects of the 1993 course on crime reduction in Washington, D.C. He was also the statistician on the study of TM and PTSD in veterans, which was funded by the U.S. Department of Defense and published in Lancet Psychiatry in 2018. His meta-analysis on the blood pressure lowering effects of TM helped to convince the American Heart Association to advise that doctors should recommend TM for patients with hypertension. According to Google Scholar, the papers that Maxwell has co-authored have been cited over 5,100 times by other scholars. Maxwell is professor of statistics and research methodology and teaches courses in the PhD program in management. Oh, you're going to be there. Okay. You come up here.
Thank you very much, Vicki. I am deeply honored and humbled to receive this award in the presence of the trustees, President Hagelin, and in the company of my esteemed colleagues. It has been a tremendous honor to work with so many great researchers and professors at our university, and a joy to be the first to see impressive p-values come off the computer. Coming here for the Taste of Utopia assembly, I wanted to find a way to be on faculty here and be a meaningful part of Maharshi's worldwide organization. There is a saying, hitch your wagon to a star. It is a dream come true to work with so many shining stars at this university, where with Maharshi's guidance, we all hitch ourselves to cosmic intelligence. And I'm also deeply grateful now to be working with the business department and to see its expansion around the world, South Africa, China, Ethiopia. Many great things are happening, and our PhD students are helping in that. And I'm grateful to be able to help facilitate that. And now, with my wife, Linda's support and intelligence, I feel we have only just gotten started, and we would like to humbly do much more to make the wisdom of our founder widely known in the world. Thank you so much to Chris and Laura Wegge for this award, and Jay Gurudev.
Thank you so much, Maxwell. Our next award recipient is an amazing administrator and teacher, but today we're giving her an award for her scholarship. In addition to being a professor of mathematics, Kathy was a TM teacher starting in 1975 and joined faculty in 1978. She was first the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences for 15 years and then the Dean of Faculty for 15 years. Somehow, amid all of that, and of course teaching pretty much a full load during that time, she was able to write 3 books: Geometry at Work, Papers in Applied Geometry, Facts on File, Geometry Handbook, and Master Math Probability. She's also published numerous papers and conference presentations. And most importantly, I think for her right now, is back to teaching and mentoring. She's also co-director of the Individualized Major Program. And she's the executive editor of the International Journal of Mathematics and Consciousness. She was also awarded the Outstanding Teaching Award by the Mathematical Association of America. Congratulations, Kathy.
Thank you very much. You know, every now and then people say, well, what is there to find out in mathematics? How can you do research in mathematics? They think it's already been discovered. For me, it has been so exciting to be here because mathematicians want to go more deeply into mathematics, and there's really only one way to go more deeply into mathematics, and that is to go more deeply into consciousness. of all the disciplines, I think mathematics is the most deeply rooted in consciousness. And it's just, you know, here it constantly, everything Maharishi says, there's some connection to mathematics. There's some way you can go more deeply into mathematics, knowing more, experiencing more about consciousness. And the other thing that's been wonderful about being here is the people that we get to work with here. It has just been amazing. The deep thinkers in mathematics, the mathematicians, but also the people. We have a study group that meets every Saturday afternoon. They don't consider themselves mathematicians, but they're deeply interested in consciousness and connections to mathematics, and it forces me to go more deeply. And I'm also very excited about my next project, which is a textbook for the geometry for the artist course that I've been teaching for over 30 years. And that textbook will be published by CRC Press. And I've already started working on it. It's a lot of work to write a book, but it's also a joy because it gets you to rethink all the knowledge that you have. So anyway, I'd like to thank the WEGIs because they have supported in many ways the research that has culminated in this. And I would also actually especially like to thank Maharaja for his gift of the journal and his discussion of mathematics and consciousness. For me, that has really been the culmination of my experience with mathematics and consciousness. And I also want to recognize my dear friend Ann Dow, who has worked on all of those things with me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy, for all your years of service and brilliance in every area. Our next recipient is Sam James. I think Sam's also a virtual, here he is. Sam is a professor and chair of the Department of Sustainable Living. Sam is an internationally renowned expert on earthworms. He's devoted his career to the study of earthworms in every continent, I think we can say, of the world. Is that fair, Sam?
Antarctica has not been a particularly useful spot, but otherwise, yes.
For Antarctica. Sam is also part of the legacy, I don't really know how to say it, the group we got from Dartmouth. He was a classmate of Scott's and a student at the same time as President Hagelin. We were very fortunate in whatever brought all of those brilliant souls to Dartmouth at that time, that they decided to come west and join us here at MIU. Scott and I were in China a couple years ago, getting ready to launch a program for our MBA program, and Sam was there at the same time participating in an international conference, and it was just, he does this all the time. He's published over 120 papers, I think. I was trying to count them, and I kind of lost track. I almost ran out of paper in my printer because there were so many pages in his Vita. He's written 10 chapters in books, and most importantly, I think he's shared his love for nature and the connection between nature and consciousness with countless students over the years. He's been a professor starting, I think, in 1983, 82. And he's going to be continuing his work, and I'll let him tell you about it as he moves into another phase of life. But thank you so much, Sam, for all your contributions to the university.
Well, you're welcome. And this was my first job in 1983 as a baby professor. I encountered a lot of strange looks, and I had many interesting discussions with the late Bob Wynn, but we came to a wonderful understanding of each other during those. And my gratitude to the Wege family doesn't start today, or even for the support to go to that meeting in Shanghai 2 years ago. But even farther back, in about 1988, Peter Wege, the sort of grand old man of the Wege family, had a great interest in nature and the natural environment and its preservation. And so he supported me then for a little bit of work that I was able to do. And so I was grateful for that, and he had me visit him in Grand Rapids all those years ago. So my next phase is to sort of step back from the classroom, but to continue my interest in science, particularly the study of earthworms. And I have a Fulbright fellowship to work in Brazil. And this will be joining colleagues in 2 different locations to review the data on species at risk of extinction. And that's one project. And the other project is to go out and discover more species as yet unknown in the southern edges of the Amazon region. And that will be in cooperation with a colleague who works at a university there and several of his students, graduates and undergraduates. I also have a 2-year collaboration in Martinique, again on earthworms, of course, and that if you were thinking that in my senior status as sort of semi-retired that I might be relaxing on a beach in the Caribbean, that could happen. I'm not certain of it, but if Mathieu and the others allow it, we'll take a little time off there. Other than that, I like to keep an eye on the developments in the Sustainable Living Department and its programs and make sure that everything is going really well. We've recently hired exciting, new, dynamic people into that department, and I'm looking forward to great things from them. And so one last sort of comment from the realms of the Veda. In the Yoga Vasishta, there is a phrase that says, the same consciousness that shines in the sun also dwells in the worm that crawls in a hole upon this earth. So I appreciate the award and the opportunity to express my gratitude for years of productive employment and seeing new generations of students into their careers. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam, and thank you for sharing that little known quote. I hadn't heard that one before. Our next award recipient, still in the area of research and scholarship, is Peter Freund, and Peter is in the hall with us today. Peter was actually on my TTC in 1972, and he joined MIU staff in January 1980, and in 1983 he was invited by the Dean of Faculty at the time, Dr. Robert Wynn, to join faculty, and he's held that position ever since. He is our tape librarian, and he is an incredible resource. Every faculty member on campus will tell you at the times he has saved them by finding just the right tape to express something that they wanted to convey in class. I'm a little concerned because he's going to tell you a little bit about his next step when it's his turn, but I don't know what we're going to do without him. His first achievement that he lists is, I think, the one he's most proud of, and that is 40 years of participation in the Super Radiance program in Patanjali Golden Dome at MIU, logging an estimated 3 million hops. He received his PhD in 2006 in Maharishi Vedic Science for a thesis entitled Vedic Literature Reading Curriculum. Now, you may think that the tape librarian job is a quiet one, and if you saw his office space, you would wonder how he even managed to do anything. It's a very small room that he's been in for the last 40 years. But in that time, he was responsible. He completed the computerization of the tape library catalog in 1982, creating a many decades-long standard for quick retrieval of Maharishi tapes on any desired topic that we've all, as I said, appreciated so much over the years. He's responsible for the installation, operation, and maintenance of the campus-wide underground cable system, bringing Maharishi tapes to every classroom on campus for 36 years. Before the internet, there needed to be a way to transfer the information and the tapes that Peter was playing in his office to the rest of campus. So he created this idea of connecting us all by cable, and that's what he did. So now we can, we can do it by internet, and we still use the cable system, but it was a great innovation and something that we were all the beneficiaries of for so many years. He created the Vedic Reserve website, a complete collection of the Vedic literature in Sanskrit, including dozens of texts transcribed from unpublished Sanskrit manuscripts, handwritten in Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada, Granta, as well as Devanagari scripts. So this is an incredible resource. I don't think it exists anywhere else in the world. And we're very grateful for Peter for creating that for us and for future scholars. He also published Sanskrit texts of the 6 darshanas in the Bhagavad Gita by MIU Press. He created the One Period a Day collection of 450 clips from Maharshi's press conferences from 2002 to 2007. He created a faculty website which makes available the One Period a Day collection, the KSCI collection, the Brahmastan collection, a collection of 45 press interviews of Maharshi, MIU video magazines, Maharshi Veda Vision from India, and the Vedic Calendar Day broadcasts of MOU. He's organized campus-wide full moon celebrations for a student club called the Ultimate Flying Cub for 8 years. He's co-director of the Purusha Preparatory Program. He's been co-director or director for 27 years. He's given 2 presentations to the World Assembly on Vedic Science held at MIU in 2017, one on Varna Shiksha and one on Varuna Purana. He's published 4 books, Varna Shiksha, The Qualities, Colors, Genders, and Devatas of the Letters of the Sanskrit Alphabet, based on an unpublished manuscript discovered among photographs sent from a library in India. Paninya Shiksha of the Rig Veda Recension, a translation and commentary. Varuna Purana, illustrating higher states of consciousness with stories of Lord Shiva. This is the discovery of a rare and important Upa Purana manuscript with the original Sanskrit text transcribed and restored from the original Telugu script and translated into English. And finally, Yogic Flying According to Yoga Vasishta, translation and commentary of 7 chapters from the classic work by the ancient sage Vasishta called Yoga Vasishta. So you can see that while he was sitting there in those 40 years in the tape library, he was pretty busy. So I'd like to be so appreciative of Peter. Please come and accept this award.
Thank you very much. I'm very, very grateful and very much honored by this award. I'm going to be starting a vacation or maybe retirement in Purusha in West Virginia at the end of this month. And this is going to give me more opportunity, more time to work on a project that turned out to be more all-consuming than I expected. And this was to transcribe the Vernon Katz collection of conversations of Maharshi and Vernon Katz. And it's just amazing going through it. And it requires some skill because they're constantly talking about Sanskrit words. So you can't just get someone off the street to transcribe it. and the knowledge that they go in their asides when they have when Vernon has questions, and then Maharshi goes into some discussion of any kind of area of life. The collection is very deep and rich in knowledge, and I'm going to be focused on seeing how packages of knowledge that can be useful for the classroom and for courses can be made out of this collection of, it's also about, I think, in the area of 400 hours. It's a lot of material. So this is something that I think the university has to look forward to. It'll be a resource well worth having. It's a great privilege that Vernon insisted that this collection come to the university. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. And we look forward to all of the wonderful things that come out of your deep dive into Purusha. It's definitely going to be our loss. And we're struggling to figure out who's going to replace him. And it's impossible, of course, but we'll have someone who will try to do their best. The next area that we want to honor is the area of teaching. And we have 4 recipients of the award of teaching, and 2 of them are from the Department of Physiology and Health, and 2 of them are from the Department of Computer Science. First, in the Department of Physiology and Health is Paul Moorhead, Associate Dean of the College of Integrative Medicine, Director of the MS in Maharishi Ayurveda and Integrative Medicine, and Co-Director of the Department of Yoga for the Maharishi College of Perfect Health International. Oh, there he is. Paul is one of these people who is very humble, quietly goes about his work, and as he's been doing that, he's now created the fastest growing program at the university, our Masters in Ayurveda. And what is the title of this program? I always call it MAVIM, and Integrative Medicine, that's it. Masters of Integrative Ayurveda and Integrative Medicine. And we're expecting possibly 100 new students in that program coming in the fall. And it's just been an amazing program, and it's been growing because I think a lot because of word of mouth. The students are really happy in the program, and that goes out to their friends who might be interested in something like this. And it's really a testament to Paul that he's been able to organize this, because he's working with many different Vaidya's and different faculty to put this program together. He's got doctors from all over the world that he needs to be constantly recruiting to be part of this ever-expanding program, constantly getting more TAs. It's a never-ending job. Just when you think you've got it handled, you've got another 100 students coming. So I'm really delighted to be able to award this WEGI Award to Paul, and for all the hard work that he's done in developing this program. It's, I think it's really only just begun, and we're starting a new program in the fall in a master's in aromatherapy that he's also been kind of godfather to. So Paul, would you like to tell us about the latest of things in your department?
Yes, thank you very much, Vicki, and deeply honored to receive this award, and thank you so much to the wonderful WEGI Foundation. So about 10 years ago, Keith Wallace said, let's capture these weekend courses for doctors on Maharishi Ayurveda. Let's expand it, and why don't we make an online master's degree in Ayurveda? I said, sounds fine, why don't we do that? So we worked for a couple of years and captured all of these wonderful weekend modules with the physicians, Dr. Stuart Rothenberg and many others, and our Vaidya's. And we started with, then we announced the masters, and we started with 20 students or so. And now next year we'll have about 250 students. And I asked Dr. Hagelin a couple of weeks ago how many students we should accept in this program, because we're getting so many applications. And he said, 1,000. But it's been an incredible fulfillment to see students blossom in this program, because what we see is this knowledge of Maharishi Ayurveda transforms the lives of people who study it, and people who teach it, and people who work with it. So to watch our students in the 3 years just have their lives transformed is the greatest fulfillment for us, all of the faculty in the program. And it's a tremendous fulfillment for us who've been teaching Maharishi Ayurveda for decades to finally see that the world is recognizing this knowledge in a big way. We're one of only 2 accredited programs, master's programs in Ayurveda in the country, and the only one with an accredited university. And so it's a tremendous, we're poised at a tremendous tipping point where the nation and the whole world is starting to accept integrative medicine and Ayurveda at the forefront. The fastest growing sector of non-vitamin herbal supplements is Ayurvedic supplements in the healthcare world. So there's this huge expansion of this knowledge, and we're at the forefront, and so proud of our students. We'll have 15 or 20 graduating this weekend. But it's just a tremendous fulfillment to see the world finally ready for this knowledge. And in our spare time, we decided to offer a free Maharishi Yoga Asana course every Friday. And all of a sudden we have 13,000 people registered for that program. And we get about 1,000 every Friday doing Maharishi Yoga asanas together from all over the world. I mean, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, many countries in Europe. It's quite astonishing. And all those people now are meditators who have signed up for a program at the university. They're absolutely primed to join the university in some capacity in a degree program. So we've had some webinars for them. And Dr. Keith Wallace offered a free course, Introduction to Maharishi Ayurveda. And now we've had 9,000 people take that course. So the combined group, there's quite a bit of overlap, but 14 or 15,000 new recruits for the university are actually taking our programs. It's absolutely unprecedented. And we do a group meditation each Friday after doing the asanas and the pranayama and the meditation. And I can tell you the experience of meditating with 1,000 people, even at a distance, it's absolutely incredible. There's no distance because everyone settles to that field that knows no time, knows no distance. It's extremely powerful. This one group is creating a lot of coherence for the whole nation and the whole world. So we're going to continue to expand that. We'll have a new Maharishi Yoga Asana teacher training course starting next month online. And just tremendous expansion in all directions. This new master's in aromatherapy is very exciting. Could be another very big program. And congratulations to all those who've been working on that. I've just been on the very sidelines for that. But it's the time. It's the time now. People in the world are, in an unusual way, very unified and seeing how much we affect each other, how much of a family we really all are, and centered around health. So having an online program, these online programs for health in Maharishi Ayurveda, it's a very powerful thing. And the expansion, we don't know if there's any limit. I don't think we're going to accept 1,000 students this year, Dr. Hagen, but we'll do our best. But thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Paul. Our next recipient is Dr. Lise Matique. Lise has been teaching Maharishi Ayurveda for the last 30 years, first in Maharishi Vedic University in Tatarstan, Russia, then at MIU. In 2002, when she came to start working on her PhD, she was also working for us as an ideal administrator, and she was awarded the Ladies Dorm Director Award, the Ideal Administrator Outstanding Ideal Administrator Award for being the Ladies Dorm Director. In 2006, the MIU students gave Lise the Maharishi Award for inspiring and teaching them. In 2011, she earned her PhD in physiology from MIU. Her dissertation was on how to reverse aging with TM and lifestyle modifications like diet and exercise. And Lise is somebody who practices what she preaches. So sometimes if we're having a long meeting, she'll stand up and start doing exercises to make sure that her body doesn't get too stiff from staying in one place. She's a great inspiration to all of us. Since 2014, Lise has been the Associate Chair for Physiology and Health and also her department's undergraduate program director. And since then, she has helped lead the expansion of its programs and course offerings. Students consistently rate her Maharishi Ayurveda courses that they take with Lise as the best courses they took at MIU. And I can say from my own experience, not only is Lise a wonderful teacher and beloved by her students, she's also a great administrator, which my husband Scott greatly appreciates when it's time to do budgets. So even though this award is for teaching, we applaud you for all of your great skills and accomplishments. Thank you, Lise.
Thank you for this great honor. It has been very fulfilling for me to teach Maharishi Ayurveda to our department undergraduate students and also to Maharishi Vedic Science Department master's level students. I have had the joy not only to teach Maharishi Ayurveda for our undergraduate program, but also as its director to expand its course offerings to include National Ayurvedic Medical Association requirement courses that include herbology, pre- and postnatal care, aromatherapy, additional anatomy and physiology, medical Jyotish, and most importantly, the clinical practicum courses. These practicum courses take place in our campus Maharishi Ayurveda Integrative Wellness Center, where students experience tremendous professional growth under wider supervision when they consult clients. And their clients express great appreciation for the services that are provided. So the success of our on-campus undergraduate program led us a few years ago to also offer it online. Currently, we have over 90 students learning online, and we expect to enroll 75 more in August. And our graduates are using Maharishi Ayurveda wisdom in many different ways, such as continuing their studies either in our master's program or other graduate schools, founding successful healthcare practices, and assisting us in teaching our growing online BA and MS programs. Thank you again for this award, and thank you to Chris and Laura Veggie for your continuous generous support of MIU. Jai Gurudev.
Thank you, Lise. Our next award recipient is Asad Saad. Asad joined MIU in 2014 after 16 years of industry experience. He's created many new web courses. His modern web applications course is considered one of the most sought after courses by our computer science students. He's represented MIU at many international conferences. In 2019, he was a guest speaker at Google Angular Conference, a highly prestigious conference. With the help of the computer science dean, Dr. Keith Levi, Asad designed the Masters in Software Development program that started this year. The program targets US residents with no background in computer science, but with an aptitude and a strong desire to learn computer programming. The program helped to increase MIU's enrollment this year, and next year we're starting 2 more tracks. This is a very exciting development, and we thank Asad for taking the leadership role in this area and creating a whole new way to bring students to MIU. Thank you, Asad.
Thank you very much, Vicky. It is a pleasure for me to receive this award, and I would like to express my gratitude for MIU and share the honor actually with all the computer science faculty, because everyone in our department is a champion. Maharishi said, the nature of life is to grow. And yes, there is nothing more satisfying than seeing our students succeed and grow. So I would like to also to thank, to send a special thank to Keith Levi for his unlimited support, and thanks to all the donors for their generous support. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much, Asad. Our next award recipient is Rakesh Shrestha, also from the Department of Computer Science. Rakesh is from Nepal, and he joined the MIU Compro program as a graduate student in February 2013. In December 2015, he graduated and received the Outstanding Student Award. After graduation, he joined the Computer Science Department as a full-time faculty member. He's been teaching different graduate and undergraduate computer science courses ever since, and is part of the new Masters in Software Development. He's a most beloved and favorite teacher for his clear explanations and big heart. Thank you, Rakesh, for all your contributions to the university.
Namaste. I just got some technical issue. I cannot hear anything from that side, but I think you can hear me. And I'm very honored to receive this award. Thank you, everyone who made this possible. Now I think I'm supposed to say a little bit about my achievement. But when I look back about my achievement, I could not find anything tangible at the beginning. Then I thought a little bit and think about what might be the biggest achievement I have achieved. Then I thought about the fulfillment. So as a teaching faculty, I get my fulfillment when I see my students enjoying the course I teach. And I make sure myself that I get that level of fulfillment, that satisfaction for every course I teach. And I think that's the biggest achievement I have received and I can receive. So thank you again for the appreciation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rakesh. Another area of faculty responsibility is mentoring. And all of the people who, the two people in this category are also excellent teachers, but they distinguish themselves by their devotion to their students in this area of mentoring. The first recipient is Leah Waller. After receiving her MFA in creative writing from Northern Arizona University, Leah served as the assistant managing editor for the Air magazine and taught writing in Flagstaff. Excited to reconnect with her roots, Leah returned to Iowa as an assistant professor of creative writing and program director for the undergraduate creative and professional writing program at MIU. Leah's work has been published in literary journals, magazines, newspapers, and anthologies, such as The Noise, the Barely South Review. I'm gonna have to put glasses on, this is in too small type. Four Ties, Lit Review, the Daily Palette. Leah's poetry collection, Under the Cedar Tree, had a soaring debut on America's Top 10 in poetry. In her work, Leah enjoys playing with the lines between poetry and prose. And Leah is a very well-loved professor in the English department, and I'm delighted to give her this award tonight.
Thank you so much, Vicki. And thank you to the Weggies. I really can't express enough my gratitude for their support. I've been to several conferences and seminars thanks to them, and it's really taken my work to the next level. And I'm currently working on a series of essays and a novel and several poems thanks to them and the way that these different events have pushed me. And I really just want to give a huge shout out to everybody who's here, who I'm receiving this award with. You were all here when I was a student back in the day, and I just can't believe I'm standing beside all of you as faculty. So it's a real huge honor. And, you know, I'm amazed with the achievements of my department this year and our ability to just move everything online at a time when everything was so crazy in the world. So I'm so grateful and blessed to just be in a department with so many incredible people and at a university with so many incredible people, especially at these difficult times. So I thank you all so much for this great honor, and I hope everyone will write and document these very unprecedented times. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Leah, for taking such good care of our students. And last but not least is Ann Dow. Ann received her PhD from the University of Queensland in Australia. After 10 years teaching undergraduate mathematics courses that she developed by correspondence at the University of Queensland, which also involved taking great care of students by correspondence and maybe occasionally visiting them in their areas. So she started off as a mentor and has continued ever since. She became a TM teacher in 1978 in Australia, and she met Kathy Guarini at the Vedic Science course in Delhi in 1980, and as she says, discovered MIU, and the rest is history. She gave up a tenured position on faculty at the University of Queensland to become MIU's math faculty in 1984, and she's been here ever since. She's been the chairman of the department for the past 15 years. She's also director of the BS in Computer Science program and has been an academic advisor and mentor for about 25 math and computer science students every year for many, many years now. She's also run the math placement assessment for at least 20 years. You may think that's nothing, but every single student who comes here has to have a math assessment placement test, and that determines what math course they take. And you can imagine how excited they are about doing that. and Anne has to make them want to do it, and then be happy with where they're placed. That's not an easy task. While she's been here, she has developed many, many courses at MIU, and I'm not going to list them for the purposes of brevity, but just to say thank you to Anne for all your years of service and your wonderful devotion to our students.
It's a really great honor and privilege to receive this award. I've always thought that taking care of our students has a top priority at MIU, both academically and personally. For MIU, retention depends on it, word of mouth recruiting depends on it, and our very reputation depends on it. And for students, their success at MIU depends on it, and their success in life depends on it. So as well as running the math department, which I enjoy, and creating and teaching math courses, which I really love, at any given time, I am the go-to person, the academic advisor for about 25 to 30 students in math and computer science. So I'm kind of like their enduring interface with the math and computer science departments, with the enrollment center, with financial aid, with student life, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and even at times with their teachers. I have to bring all these students and all these aspects of the university into equilibrium. Yes, they are adults, or nearly so, but in a university consisting of so many academic and administrative departments, all of which impinge on their life here, they need one person who knows their whole story to go to begin any inquiry. So I have to learn how everything works, and it changes regularly, and who to ask if I don't know if something works, and all the policies, who needs to approve what, who to go to for counseling. I have to make their schedules, revise the math department's schedule if necessary, negotiate with the computer science department when I need them to tweak their schedule or something, and then revise the students' schedule again so that they can actually graduate. And it's lots of fun. But I also have to let students know when their carefully, creatively thought up plan for waiving this or that requirement or taking an advanced graduate level course or whatever is just not going to work, and come up with an alternative that they can accept. Most are transfer students with different backgrounds. Each student is completely different, and they all want to graduate as soon as possible. And also, most students, I find, have doubts at some time during their studies and just want to run. If you can get them through these, they succeed, and for me, that really feels good. And this award today recognizes the importance of academic advising in the context of the whole of what we're trying to accomplish at MIU. Yes, I'm only a small cog, an often imperfect contribution to the whole that consists of all of us and our supporters and all of you donors and Maharshi. It's Maharshi who has given us, with consciousness-based education and our meditation programs, the ability to work together harmoniously to create an environment in which students can flourish, succeed, and go out and make their special mark on the world. Thank you so much to the Wege Foundation and to MIU for recognizing the important part that mentoring plays in this great vision that Maharshi has given us for education. It really means a lot to me to take part in this undertaking, this marvelous, wonderful undertaking. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anne. And Anne is, some of you, I think you've all heard that we've been in the process of trying to save money for the university. We've been asking people to go on furlough and get unemployment, and which is, you know, doesn't sound so great, except that right now the government is giving an extra bonus of money to people who do this. And though in some cases they're going to be making more in this extra bonus of money than they were making in their salary at MIU. So we're really doing this because, of course, we want to save the money for the university in this challenging time, but we also want the faculty to get this little extra boost of money that they can get. And we've been trying to do this with Anne, and she just won't do it because she said, I can't cut back. I have to keep working 100%. And she starts listing all the things that she does. And then she said, but it's okay. I'll just take half my salary. You don't have to put me on unemployment. I'll just cut my salary in half. So it's with faculty like that that this university has continued to thrive in whatever challenging time is thrown our way. Now, next up, we're going to have a short session with our staff. Unfortunately, they didn't all hear that we were doing this tonight, so they're not hooked up. But the first person to get the staff award from the Wege Foundation tonight is Carol Passos. Now, Carol sent out a survey to all the staff and faculty asking them to nominate staff that they thought were deserving of this award. And she was right on the list. And she said, should I do this? And I said, absolutely, because she has been the mastermind behind this whole process of putting people on. Unemployment is one thing. That's kind of easy. We just tell you you're furloughed and you apply yourself. But there's another program in Iowa called the Voluntary Service Program, and that requires the institution to apply for everybody. And we've applied for over 150 people, 160 now. We've got a new batch going in. It involves an enormous amount of work. So I'm personally delighted that this award is going to go to Carol. And these are some of the things that were said by the people who nominated her. She's professional and always on top of everything. Carol has done great work, especially in these extraordinary times. Her youthful calm and brilliant leadership is just what MIU needs now and in the future. She has worked long hours with care and kindness and sweetness, working for the best interests of MIU and all its wonderful staff members. She has been responsible for the most significant change in our organization, bringing us to another level of compliance and professionalism. Another person said, I don't know how we would survive this crisis without Carol as our director of HR. She has led the HR department through so many challenges this year. Her dedication and care are unbounded. So it was great joy. I give Carol Passos the Staff Award from the Wege Foundation.
Well, I'm incredibly thankful, and I was a bit surprised actually. And I wrote to Vicky and I was like, do I accept this? Because I don't know, I'm participating in the process, I don't know. And I am deeply thankful to everybody who nominated me. And I almost feel a little guilty receiving this because I don't think I would be able to accomplish anything that I accomplished this year without my team. So in my heart, I'm sharing this with my team in HR. You guys are amazing and you're my rocks. And I'm also thankful to Vicky and to President Hagelin and to Laura Wege and Chris for supporting us and for making this all possible. And for the whole staff, because I think that we've been doing a lot of difficult things in HR and moving different projects forward. And if I didn't have your support, none of it would be possible. I'm incredibly thankful for the nomination for the award and for the support I receive every day from each one of you. Thank you so much. Oh, last but not least, for my family, because without them, I don't know, for the stressful times, if I didn't have a peaceful place to go back to, I'd go crazy sometimes too. Thank you. And back here, now nominating some of my staff. The next person we're nominating is Arla Rabelai. I don't know if I'm saying her last name right. And I wanted to say a little bit of what other people say about her, and I would like to add something too. In every interaction, this is from my interactions with Arla, in every interaction I had with Arla, I was always met with a smile and with helpfulness and someone who is always up to whatever task is presented. And this is the representation of the impression we have from Arla. That's Arla. But this is what's being said about her. Arla has devoted many years of consistent, dedicated service to the registrar's office and support for all the teaching faculty. She helps everyone who comes to her with a request and does it with a smile. She's really an ideal administrator. She's always dependable, flexible, and good-natured in this dealings with administrators, with students, and the faculty. This year, her work as an associate registrar was extra busy because the registrar took some time off and she stood to the task. She also has worked through the conversion from Rama to CAMS, and we appreciate her enormously and hope she gets some reward for her fine work. Arla, I know like you're not connected, but you're so deserving. The next person who is receiving an award has a very special place in my heart and is someone I personally admire a lot, Tom Brooks. Tom is amazing. Everybody who worked with Tom would agree with me. He is super hardworking. He manages so many things at the same time that I cannot believe he doesn't have a clone. I think he does. That's his secret. Because nobody can manage as many things as Tom manages at the same time and still have a smile on his face and be super helpful for whatever you come with, whatever task. I don't know how many times I went to Tom's office to just vent, and even with all the things that he was dealing with, he still met me with a smile. So here's a little bit of what's being said about Tom. Tom is a great example for us, the next generation of leaders. So this comes from our younger administrators. You are so hardworking, dedicated, available to everyone at all times. It is always so easy to call you or walk into your office. You're very approachable, and that makes a huge difference in our daily lives, makes the work easy and fun, and helps us get things done quickly. I appreciate you for being the great leader that you are, keeping it all together, especially during this time amidst all this craziness. Tom has proven time and time again to embody the true leadership skills. I have only been working for MIU for 7 months, and that's from another person, but have seen him juggle so many different projects while maintaining a balanced perspective, practical yet full of creative thought, open mind, good heart, strong character, continuously looking for ways to support the success of MIU staff on its various projects. Congratulations, Tom. We all love you. And the last person to receive the award is Dan Wasilewski. Dan, you're so deserving. I wish you were here. Dan is the biggest heart in this university. He is someone, you look at Dan, Dan is like 6'3", I think, 6'4". He's a very tall guy, and when you look at him, he's like a puppy because he has a heart of gold, and you can see that through everything he does. He takes such good care of our students, and he pays attention to every single detail, and he cares for the people he interacts with, not just the students, but with us in HR, with every person that works with him. Dan, you are a representation of what having a good heart is and what putting the heart into action is for me. Dan is the kindest man I ever met. This is from somebody else. He has done almost every job imaginable at MIU, and this year he is retiring from being the director of financial aid. But in true Dan fashion, he is not really retiring. He's going to be the administrator for our new Masters in Aromatherapy program. Go Dan! He was so captivated by the knowledge that he's also going to be a student. Never tires. That's our Dan. And I wish he was here to receive it, but I'm really, really proud of the people who are being nominated, and I'm even more proud to be able to call them all tomorrow and say they're gonna get the awards with their paychecks. They're gonna be really happy about it. Thank you so much, and thank you for our trustees for making this possible. That wouldn't be possible without you.
Thank you so much, Carol. And now to conclude the evening's festivities, I'd like to call on the Mayor of Fairfield, always in our hearts, the Mayor of Fairfield, Dr. Ed Malloy.
Hi, Vicki. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. This has been an extraordinary night. It's always just amazing to get this brilliant synopsis of another year in MIU's history. And, you know, as we all appreciate in our own way, whether we've been here for 40 years or 9 months, that the MIU has an impact, and that impact grows. And we see it in these presentations. They're more and more powerful every year. Scott's report on accreditation and the reaction from those who were doing the evaluation was extraordinary. And yes, these people were very blissful. They were really blown away by the experience they have on campus. And we know that. We know that that is part of that growing power of MIU. Also, the incredible fundraising accomplishments and the leadership that's come continues in this university, from our great President Hagelin to all of the extraordinary faculty that gave reports tonight and who received awards, and the great donors that support this university. It's just something that is, again, not taken lightly or for granted. MIU also continues to have an impact on Fairfield and on Iowa. And just a couple of months ago, really an extraordinary report came out that maybe many of you did see. It was from a think tank called Heartland Forward, which is an Arkansas-based think tank that studies economies. And this study was really a look at the entire nation through the lens of where new jobs are being created, and they're being created by young entrepreneurs. And they broke the study up into 2 areas. One, metropolitan areas, which are 50,000 population and more, and what they called micropolitan areas, which are populations of 10,000 to 50,000. And Fairfield ranked 35th among 550 micropolitan areas in the country. And we were the only micropolitan area recognized among 9 Midwest states. And we know what we have in Fairfield really is extraordinary and really is gold. And we've been recognized for this in the past. And this study did specify that in many of these smaller communities where this phenomenon exists, it is attached to universities, and universities play a role. But when you think about the consciousness-based themes and the outgrowth of what comes out of that education and the diversity that we attract to Fairfield, our number 35 is quite extraordinary. Your donations are really what make this university continue to thrive and make it a powerhouse. And I know that everyone that participated in this tonight appreciates that. Whether you're a very high-level donor or whether you are someone who's been donating for 35 or 40 years to this university, you've made it work, you've made that impact. And we've had a good year, but we know we have some unforeseen challenges ahead. It's just going to happen. The whole world is facing that at this point in time. So thinking and reflecting on what you've supported over these years and how important that has been, and now being that time where we really need to reach into ourselves and see, you know, and ensure that the university has a very smooth transition during this pandemic, which will end, and we will be back to business as usual. But tonight, I want to appeal to you to make an annual fund gift, make a strong annual fund gift, make one that you'll be proud of and that will help us weather this, and will continue to support all of the wonderful people associated with this university who continue to make a tremendous impact on the whole world. So good night, and thank you very much for the opportunity to make this appeal to you tonight.
I'm off camera now, right? We done?